Okay, full disclosure. I grew up a 49ers fan. I know. This is confession time. When I was a kid, my family's not into sports. You wouldn't know that by my current family, but my family growing up was not into sports. But every year and I remember about it when I was maybe 7, 8, 9 years old, we started having Super Bowl parties at church. And it worked out really well because we had this church that had a bunch of, ping pong and pool and air hockey and all that stuff. So the kids would go downstairs at church and play games and do all this stuff, and the adults would eat food and watch the Super Bowl, right? And we would do that. We were living in Nest City, Kansas, out in western Kansas, where my dad was the pastor there. And I remember finally one year I decided I'm going to watch the Super Bowl. And so I stayed upstairs. All my friends were down playing ping pong, and I was upstairs watching the game. It was 1989. It was the 49ers versus the Denver Broncos. And the 49ers beat them 55-10. And I was immediately a 49ers fan. So at least I could say this. I may not have been a Chiefs fan yet, but I did hate the Broncos even then. So that's a start, right? And I don't do things halfway. If I like something, I'm in with both feet. So I was 49ers everything. And Joe Montana, Jerry Rice, moved on to Steve Young. I was all about the 49ers. And in fact, the Chiefs were always kind of that second team because my family was all from Kansas. We were in this area a little bit. And then, of course, Joe Montana came to the Chiefs. And that made them even better, right? Because it was Joe Montana. So I grew up a 49ers fan, and I was big into it. In 8th grade, we redid my bedroom all 49ers. I had the border on the wall with the 49ers logos. I had the comforter that was 49ers. I even had a 49ers football phone. Because back then we didn't have cell phones, and I had to actually call my friends to talk to them and tie up the phone line. I was big into the 49ers. So I was 14 years old the last time my favorite team won a Super Bowl. So it's not been as long as many of you. But it has been 25 years. And it's crazy how that time can go. When I was in 8th grade, too, I got my most prized Christmas gift that I'd been asking for, and it was a 49ers leather jacket. Got it when I was in 8th grade. I wore it all through high school. I wish I would have hung on to it, because I don't have it anymore. But I was serious. Well, then I came to college, and I went to college at William Jewell College here in the Kansas City area. And at that time, the San Francisco 49ers sold the team to a new owner. They fired the coach. They traded away all the players I liked. And it happened to be kind of right at the same time that we had some guys on the Chiefs playing for them named Priest Holmes and Tony Gonzalez and Dante Hall and Trent Green. And it's real hard to not be a Chiefs fan in this city, right? And so I converted. It was like I changed religions, I went from because this team that I had loved for so long was no longer the same team. They'd gotten rid of everybody. They had new ownership. It was completely different. And now I'm in this place where you can rally around your team. And I've never gone back. We've been diehard Chiefs fans ever since. So I want you to think for just a minute. And again, you may not all care. But I want you to think for a minute if you have a memory about being a fan, especially of this team. Maybe it was the Super Bowl that they had 50 years ago or something in between. If you could say one memory about the Chiefs that you have maybe from as a kid or earlier on or whatever, and you could say it in one line, who has one? What's one memory that you have about being a Chiefs fan? Whether it's growing up or until now. Anybody? Yeah, Penny. Okay. Came in for a ball game, missed the whole first quarter. Oh, man. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Came to your house. How cool. Yeah. Wow. Next time, call me. That's awesome. Yeah, Mike. Wow. Very cool. Oh, wow. That's awesome. What a cool memory. Did I see your... Ron? Okay. Oh, cute. Very good. Yeah, Connie. Wow. Wow. And you were there too. Wow. Cool. Shared experience there. That's awesome. Anybody else? Yeah. Yeah. We want to, we hope for those memories today, right? I mean, the excitement, it's fun because my family, of course, since college, and we're big Chiefs fans, big Royals fans, and we were living in Iowa when the Royals won the World Series a few years ago, right? And we would have given anything to have experienced the city being a part of this all together. And that's what's been fun, is to see what's happening with the Chiefs now. At this level, the way the city kind of rallies together and unites. Again, even if you don't care about sports, there's something that happens as the city unites. So, what's interesting to me is how contagious this kind of love is, right, for sports. It's so contagious. I've never told my kids they have to be Chiefs fans. I've never told them they have to love the Jayhawks or the Royals or whatever teams. But there is something about sports that is contagious. And so, yes, we, dressed them before they could dress themselves in those things. But their love for those teams has just kind of naturally found its way as they've grown up in our house, as we've watched the games, as we've worn the clothes, as we've celebrated the things that are going on. Never had to require any kind of weird sports rituals, or never had to require them to think or say or whatever the way that we wanted them to do it. They just have joined us in our excitement. So today, at my house, and maybe at yours, we have this great mixture of excitement and fear and anxiety and all those things, because it matters to us. The reason I say all that is because I wonder sometimes why that is so natural, and yet that same passion and that same continual natural transition doesn't happen within our faith sometimes. Like the things of God that I love and that have shaped my life, are they being passed to my kids as easily as their love for their team? Should be, right? I mean, it should be a lot easier, because it's something that is way more important and molds way more of my life than red and yellow. But is that what really happens? Do we naturally pass it along to the next generation? It's interesting, the Bible even includes references about sports. Paul clearly was interested in these things. As Matt read for us earlier, he talked about running and used that as an illustration for the Christian life. Do you not know that in a race all runners run, but only one gets the prize? Run in such a way as to get the prize. Everyone who competes in the game goes into strict training. They do it to get a crown that will not last, but we do it to get a crown that will last forever. When they play in that game today, they do it to get a ring that will only last so long. But the things of God are eternal. Paul understands the discipline that it takes for excellence, and he relates it to our life. So how do we get this passion in our lives for more than just Super Bowls? In Ephesians 6, we hear the familiar message about the armor of God. As I told the kids, it always has kind of reminded me, I don't go into battle with armor, but certainly when we watch on the screen, we see people that are covering themselves in protection. And this is what he says in Ephesians 6. Finally, be strong in the Lord and in His mighty power. Put on the full armor of God so that you can take your stand against the devil's schemes. For our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the powers of this dark world, and against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms. Therefore, put on the full armor of God, so that when the day of evil comes, you may be able to stand your ground, and after you've done everything, to stand. Stand firm then, with the belt of truth buckled around your waist, with the breastplate of righteousness in place, and with your feet fitted with the readiness that comes from the gospel of peace. In addition to all this, take up the shield of faith, with which you can extinguish all the flaming arrows of the evil one. Take the helmet of salvation and the sword, which is the Word of God. We're invited to put all these things on to protect ourselves, and they're good and they're right things. Righteousness and peace, faith, salvation, the sword of the Spirit, all these things that we kind of clothe ourselves. But the point isn't, I don't think it's not just about protection. When I hear that taught so often, it's just about protecting myself from the world and Satan and whatever else is out there. But the purpose is to go play or to go to battle, to go and be involved. Protection doesn't win games. It doesn't build franchises. It doesn't bring fans. The key is passion. And we respond to passion like this.
Hey, we work all off-season for moments like these. When you get on that field, I need everything you got for your brothers beside you. Talk to them. Hey, let's go, Dominic. Fly around, make plays. Show playmakers on 3. 1, 2, 3.
It's stupid. I get goosebumps when they do that stuff. This is the kind of passion that we're invited to have in our relationship with Christ. The kind of passion that I have for my team, the kind of stuff that fires me up, that is naturally given to my kids and to those around me. That's the kind of passion, that's the kind of love for God that has that same natural progression to other people. The reality is when we clothe ourselves in the armor of God, when we clothe ourselves in the things of God, and we do so with not just a desire to protect ourselves or some kind of quiet reverence, we have the opportunity to celebrate and to live out the passion of love for God and a life with Christ. Are your kids passionate for God because of what they see in you? Are the people that you're around excited for the things that God has for them because of what they see you focusing on, what they see you passionate about in your life? So often I see families in the church that try all these things to try and kind of force feed that passion for God that we have naturally for other things. We try those. My parents used to do it every once in a while. We try those family devotions. We kind of force the kids to come gather around. We're going to do it this way, and it would last for a short time, and life would get in the way, and it wouldn't happen. And they try and kind of force feed all these things that if we do this exactly right, then my kids will learn to love and to follow Christ. But here's the reality. I learned to love and follow Christ because I saw my parents doing it, right? because I saw people in my church that were doing it. Not just like dressing up and looking nice in church on Sunday and saying all the right things and not cussing. It was because I could see people who were passionate about Christ. They were clothing themselves in the things of Him and living that out in the way that they treated people, in the way that they acted towards others, in the joy that I saw in them no matter what they went through. That kind of passion is passed down naturally. You don't got to force feed it. You don't got to make them do it. They see it and they respond. I want to invite you to clothe yourselves in the things of Christ. And it's not just about armor up because you got to be protected, which it's true. God, doing the things of God and surrounding yourself and clothing yourself in the things of God certainly will protect us from some of the stuff that those external forces that want to see us go a different way. But more than anything, what I want to see is I want to see this kind of passion as I see read throughout the sanctuary, the kind of passion we've seen in the city these last 2 weeks, the excitement for a football game today. I want to see that kind of passion in my life with Christ. I got to tell you, as I confessed my previous 49er fandom, I can confess too that not every Sunday do I wake up excited and nervous and hopeful for what God is going to do. I should. We should be so excited to come and experience the things of God that we have that same mix of anxiety and butterflies and excitement, because who knows what God's going to do in us today. We should have that excitement not just this day, but tomorrow, because God has plans for tomorrow as well. And if I'm passionate, prepared, and clothed with the things of Him, we might get a chance to see some amazing things happen. Today's fun because this city's been waiting 50 years for this opportunity. But every day we have an opportunity to live out our passion for Christ in a way that not only affects other people, but is contagious so that they see it and they want to live in that as well. I want to encourage you, I want to challenge you today to do that, to live this life passionate about the things of God so that He can live through us and share with those that come after.